Over the last week, we've been talking about how bad the preseason AP poll was. Well, there were also preseason predictions for players to win the Heisman Trophy as well. When looking back at those preseason odds entering the 2024 season, safe to say, the odds makers, well, they weren't really close at all. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. So we're going to be taking a look back at all the preseason Heisman odds, and we're going to be seeing how those players turned out in 2024. But before we get to that, we're going to look at the final top 10 of Heisman voting and where those players came in the preseason odds. Now, the biggest standout obviously is Travis Hunter, considering he won the Heisman Trophy. And when looking at the preseason odds, he didn't even crack the top 21 players that had 40-1 odds or better. Now, this does make sense because Travis Hunter, he was a two-way player playing cornerback and wide receiver, and he was playing for a team that just missed a bowl game the year prior. So in order for him to win the Heisman Trophy, he would have to be elite at both positions by posting some incredible numbers, and Colorado would have to be really good in 2024. Well, all that happened, so that's why Travis Hunter walked away with the Heisman Trophy. Another big surprise was Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, who came in second place, and as you can see, he wasn't in the top 21 of players with preseason odds either. This isn't all that surprising as well, considering 1, he is a running back, and 2, he was playing for Boise State. It makes a lot of sense that he wouldn't have great odds, especially considering when you look at the top 21, there actually isn't a running back or a wide receiver that cracked the list. The top 21 players with the best odds were all quarterbacks entering the 2024 season. Dillon Gabriel finished 3rd in Heisman voting, and he actually entered the season, depending on which betting outlet you looked at, with the highest odds at 7-1. It was a fantastic season for Dillon Gabriel, as he threw for nearly 4,000 yards with 30 passing touchdowns while adding 7 touchdowns on the ground as well. Cam Ward finished 4th in Heisman voting, and early on in the season, it was looking like he was going to be the favorite. He entered the 2024 season tied with a couple players at 20-1 odds. The rest of the list though, yeah, that's where things get really crazy. Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo finished 5th in Heisman voting. I don't even want to know what his preseason odds were, if they were even available. I mean, if they were somehow available at some betting market, they were probably like 500 or 1,000-1 odds. Speaking of crazy odds, you could have gotten those with Army quarterback Bryson Daly, who finished 6th in Heisman voting. Yeah, he was nowhere to be found when it came to preseason odds as well. Another player you probably could not have bet on was Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, who finished 7th in voting. He finished his season with over 100 receptions, 1,200 receiving yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. If I were to guess, there probably would have been 20 to 30 pass catchers that would have had better odds than Tyler Warren. Finally, at number 8, we have a player who did have preseason odds in Shedeur Sanders. He entered the 2024 season with 30-1 odds. Now, like I talked about earlier with Travis Hunter, the reason Shedeur Sanders probably didn't have better odds was because the expectation for Colorado couldn't have been that high. Colorado was coming off a terrible season, with many expecting them to not improve by that much, so if Colorado won only 6 or 7 games, yeah, Shedeur Sanders likely wouldn't have been in the Heisman discussion. But because Colorado was such a great team and Shedeur Sanders posted the numbers everyone was expecting, he ended up finishing inside the top 10. Rounding out the top 10 of Heisman voting was Indiana quarterback Curtis Rourke and Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord. Now, although the top 21 players in Heisman odds were all quarterbacks, those two were nowhere mentioned. If I were to guess, Kyle McCord probably had higher preseason odds than Curtis Rourke did, but I don't think anyone expected Kyle McCord to go out there and throw for nearly 5,000 yards in 2024. Alright, shifting things back to the preseason odds, when looking at this first batch of quarterbacks, I don't really think any of these quarterbacks had a terrible season. Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Will Howard, they all put together really solid campaigns. It just wasn't at the caliber that the preseason odds had them projected to be. Overall, I think our first bust is probably Nico Iamaleava, who had 15-1 odds. I thought he was terrible in 2024. The expectations were so high for him, and I was just really disappointed with the production and honestly how he looked for most of the season. When looking at the 20-1 odds with Garrett Nussmeier and Riley Leonard, again, they both had solid campaigns, just not good enough to win the Heisman Trophy. It's at this point now we really get to the bust of the 2024 season. Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson, Texas A&M quarterback Connor Weigman, there was a lot of hype surrounding both those quarterbacks entering the 2024 season, and yeah, safe to say, they didn't meet those expectations at all. We have a couple of busts here in Jackson Arnold and Brady Cook. I'll start with Brady Cook. I was insanely high on him entering the 2024 season. He was great for Missouri in 2023. I thought Missouri could be a potential playoff team in 2024. Missouri still had a pretty solid season, but Brady Cook really took a step back from the player he was the year prior. Meanwhile, with Jackson Arnold, this was going to be his first season as Oklahoma's starting quarterback. There was a lot of hype surrounding him, and yeah, he didn't meet those expectations at all. I thought he was terrible. If you remember, Oklahoma had to make a quarterback change midway through the season. Jackson Arnold eventually won that job back, but yeah, it was a really disappointing season for him, and it was bad enough he had to transfer out at the end of the year. In hindsight, this is actually insane that he was even on a preseason odds list, but DJ Uiagalelei, he had 40-1 odds to begin the season. There were people out there that bet on DJ Uiagalelei to win the Heisman Trophy in 2024. I don't know if they're going to come forward. I don't know if they're going to go public with that information, but just know that there are people out there somewhere, maybe not anymore because they shredded those tickets, but during the college football season had a DJ Uiagalelei Heisman Trophy winning ticket. We're going to wrap up today's video with a couple of other quarterbacks who had 40-1 odds. Noah Fifita is probably the most disappointing one for me personally. I was all in on him entering the 2024 season. I thought he was going to be a Heisman contender. I thought Arizona was going to be a playoff contender. I thought Noah Fifita was going to post really insane numbers. I'm pretty sure during the offseason when I was hyping him up, he was a guy that I said could potentially throw for 4,000 yards, maybe 40 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he didn't come anywhere close. Cam Rising, I think he played in only 2, maybe 3 games. He got hurt. He actually might be playing one more year of college football. I'm not all that certain. Miller Moss, this one early on was looking like it was a really good bet. He had that insane game to begin the season against LSU where he threw for 400 yards. His odds probably jumped into the top 5 or 10 after that week 1 performance, but the rest of the season, it was terrible for Miller Moss. He ended up getting benched near the end of the year. And yeah, 2024 wasn't all that great of a season for Miller Moss. Well, that wraps it up for today's video. When looking at the 2024 preseason Heisman Trophy odds, who was the biggest standout when it comes to these odds? Was it a player that had really high odds who turned out to be a major disappointment? Or was it a player that ended up finishing the season ranked inside the top 10 of voting, but they weren't even ranked in the preseason Heisman odds? Whatever your thoughts and your biggest takeaways are from today's video, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all off season long, so if you're a college football fan, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm, and it helps share this video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in my next video.